3 Florida State recruits that are going to play early.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into another episode of Locked On Seminoles. We are back from the Christmas break, and Happy New Year to everyone. Going to talk recruiting today, and that means we are brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Yes, today is about recruiting. I have been at the Under Armour practices since Friday. There are 3 players that Florida State has signed that are at the Under Armour All-American game that will be played on Wednesday at 4 p.m. And those players are Kam Davis from Doherty High School in Albany, Georgia. Pine Forest High School in Pensacola has Jonathan Daniels. He's the offensive lineman. And Lawayne McCoy from Miami Central, all going to play for the Noles. So without further ado, let's break them down one by one. I'm going to start with Kam. I know him the best. Watched him quite a bit over the last few days. And here's what I think about his game compared to when I've seen him since his freshman year to the end of his high school career before he enrolls at Florida State. Number one, I always knew he could run the ball, catch some of the basic things, but here's what I have written down, like just notes that I took and I condensed them since being at practice, just all around. Everything that you think of a running back needs to be on the field for any circumstance, short yardage, 1st and 10, 3rd and long, need him to pass protect. He's willing to do it. First thing I put is all around on my piece of paper. He doesn't have a spot that he is kind of awkward to be in the lineup. And in today's world, everything is matchup in formation and situation. There is no one player that stays in. Everybody's rotating. That's just kind of the way football has evolved. He fits it. 2, he's in shape. He's got those big thighs. He's lean. He's powerful. He's just over 200 pounds, about 5'10" or so. He's going to come in ready and compete. 3rd thing, he can really do a lot of things in the passing game, but I was surprised. It'd been a while since I'd seen him. How natural is it just catching the ball away from his body? That's going to help him because Florida State throws the running backs and do a lot of different things in the screen game. Think about Tafili and some of the other players over the last few years that have made big catches. Kam Davis will fit into that. And finally, I know this is not something that is football related, and I've mentioned it before on this very podcast here at Locked On Seminoles. Kam Davis is a great human being. Just being around him, watching him, and how he communicates with any given member of the media, other players, the coaches, he's happy to do it. A lot of guys, when you ascend to his level, they can be quite difficult. Not Kam Davis. So he's a great kid, and I'm glad he's getting the opportunity to go play the Under Armour All-American game. It's going to be at Camping World Stadium in downtown Orlando if you want to check it out, 4 p.m. again on Wednesday. But he's going to be a focal point of the offense. He's playing for Team Fire. Next up, same team. I'll just stick with the same unit. There's Team Fire and Team Ice. Jonathan Daniels. I knew the least about him among these 3 players. He plays at Pine Forest in Pensacola. It's kind of remote for me because I live in Central Florida. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what position he was going to play. Guard, tackle, center, long-term. And I just wanted to do my own evaluation of him. I was surprised at how agile he was laterally. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play tackle. It doesn't mean he's going to play inside. He's just a good athlete. Again, going back to like the screen game, Florida State needs guys that can be mobile, get out in front of players like a Kam Davis or like a Lawayne McCoy, who I'll talk about next. He can do it. Watching how they had him working with the different offensive line coaches, he's working on different techniques as a tackle. Maybe they'll use him some inside too. It's an all-star game. There could be all kinds of possibilities. But I liked what I saw out of him, and he took the coaching. Again, that cannot be understated. Anytime a player comes into your program that is hard-headed, that's just a longer time it's going to take for that young man to develop, if at all. Daniels is very easygoing. Reminds me quite a bit, honestly, of Kam Davis and the fact that he's just chill, wants to learn, wants to get better, and he doesn't care which spot he plays. I talked to him about that a few days ago on Media Day. he's good to go. The other thing I want to say about him is I think that despite he's about 280 right now, 285, I think he's going to end up being a really good run blocker. I don't know if he's going to be a road grader, like a 350 kind of guy, but he's big enough now with the frame he has to carry 305, 310 pretty easy and play inside if you wanted him to. He's probably got the quickness to play outside. I don't know about the length. It's hard to tell. He's got some length, but tackles, I prefer the 6'6", 6'7" guy like most people. I do like his versatility, though. He doesn't really care where he wants to play is not really a factor to him. He just wants to play where the coaches think it's best. And in this case, obviously, Florida State's coaches are going to be ecstatic about that. Finally, Lawayne McCoy. This is a player that I had some curiosity about because this year's group nationally at receiver is loaded. There's Ryan Williams is on team ice with him. Williams is one of the fastest players in the country. He's a class of 25 player that reclassed to 24. He's a 10, 300-meter kid. Well, Wayne doesn't really look much different watching them go back-to-back reps than what Ryan is. I've seen Ryan plenty of times. He's shot out of a cannon. Well, Wayne's twitchiness is just as good, if not better, than about anybody, too. There was one rep, I believe I put it up on the social media account, Twitter for Locked On Seminoles, but Wayne comes off the line, gives a hard right, makes the DB physically miss him completely. Did not touch him. He goes left, catches a touchdown. I mean, the play was over immediately. His quickness off the line is stupendous. If you can find more and more kids like this to find into your program positionally that have that kind of athleticism, stock up. I knew he was good, but it's different beating guys that are going to Power 5. I mean, he's killed most high school competition, but Lawayne McCoy is a special player. And I think Florida State's found themselves a future slot or outside receiver. It doesn't really matter. He was playing outside at Under Armour. Him and Ryan were rotating. He'll have no problems. The only question with him, and Florida State does a great job with this, how much will they move him around early on in his career? Not later, not sophomore, junior year, but can they get him to learn some things his freshman year where if there's an audible, he's not lost? That's the question. Every coach, they hope they can do that, but it's always a guess because if he knows multiple spots, as athletic as he is and as good as he is in the screen game and making guys miss, he's a punt return guy to give you an idea how twitchy he is. Well, Wayne McCoy could be an impact player for Florida State. Again, you just don't know about the playbook, but man, he's got great hands. It's hard to get a finger on him off the line, and he's got deep speed. Those are the things you're looking for when you're trying to get a receiver. Well, Wayne McCoy from Miami Central is that guy. This is a quick podcast. I just kind of wanted to give an overview. I'll do a little bit more on recruiting and kind of a big box Under Armour review and talk a little bit about the end of the season. I wanted to get into some of this first. I know DJ Uyunglele obviously is committed to Florida State. I've just been running around a little bit rampant. I haven't had a chance to do podcasts because I haven't been home, been on the road last several days, for the most part, just taking photos and videos and doing a lot of reviewing of all the stuff. It's what I do. So anyway, thank you once again for tuning in to Locked On Seminoles. I'll get it back into more of a routine back next week. We'll mix in a few more podcasts this week and talk a little bit about DJ, etc. I'm going to be on the road a little bit more after the game, but next week we'll be into a full routine once again. Please hit that like button and subscribe and share this podcast. And once again, thank you to all the everydayers. We truly appreciate it. And if you're not an everydayer yet, please become one and tell somebody about this podcast. Trying to grow it as fast and as easily as I can. And that help comes from you. So once again, everybody have a great day. Thank you very much.